Hello, and welcome to week 4. This is an important week. You've got a lot of information to look at, and you have to prepare your next assignment. So I want to first review with you the material that you should be covering for this week, and then try to give you some strategies for approaching your research paper assignment. I've not scheduled a chat for this week since there are only 3 of us, and I felt that I can answer your questions best individually, either via email or certainly via phone if that helps you. If you prefer me to have a chat for the 3 of you, please let me know by sending me an email and I will arrange that. So, this week in your text, you should be reading chapters 3 and 7, as well as several chapters in the Clay book. Now, 4 chapters might seem like a lot, but if you've purchased your Clay book, and I certainly hope you have, you know that that is a small book in total. So, our focus this week is how can we best work with preschoolers to foster oral language and the use of print. We're going to take a look at how we can build vocabulary through our conversation and oral exchanges, the role and value of using folklore or stories in oral and written language development, and how we use music and literature, nursery rhymes, and such to encourage the growth of language. We'll be looking at what strategies are best for fostering listening and talking. Strategies such as shared reading and read-alouds, learning experience approach, and of course, you should be familiar with concepts of print. So I've also included a file on concepts about print for your reference. And this is nice because you have it all in one place, and it tells you about the purpose of the assessment. It provides the directions. This is, of course, based on Marie Clay's version. It gives you the actual test, tells you what exactly to do, how to score it in a very nice format. Hopefully that will be useful to you. I then have included a few other items. One is reading comprehension strategies that work. And I'm going to open that for you in a new tab. And this is a PDF file. And this is actually the chapter from a book, so it is quite long. However, I thought it would be valuable to you because it really gives a lot of information, a lot of resources, and again, something that you can save and have in one place. I've given you 2 websites to take a look at. One, if you have, well, I know one of you is in Dade County, so you should be familiar with this, and I'm not sure about my Georgia folks. But the website is Starfall. And Starfall is a nice way that is a free public service that helps children learn phonics and reading. And you can take a look at what's offered here and see if you think this is worthwhile for you. The next site is taking a look at reading strategies that encourage students' engagement with text. And this is from one of my favorites again, Reading Rockets. And they talk about research-based strategies that really do work, the benefits of reading aloud, how to engage with text, as well as some other strategies, as you can see, taking you into first grade. So some nice information for you. I also have one video to share with you, and that is beginning the year in a preschool classroom. Now, if you teach in a preschool classroom, you'll find this interesting because you'll see how this correlates to what you do. And if you don't teach in a preschool classroom and never have, this also will give you some insight, perhaps. And now, let's move ahead. Before I talk about our research paper assignment, let me again remind you to post to the discussion board, post early so that each of you has the opportunity to respond to one other person, because that's how you earn the full credit. Okay, so now, most importantly, our research paper on oral language development. Now, what we are really doing is the skeleton of a dissertation. So you want to choose wisely when choosing your topic for this, because maybe this is something that you can use again. So primarily, you must select a topic that is interesting to you, that is related to the process of oral language development, somewhere between the ages of birth and age 5. Once you have identified that topic, you're going to provide a rationale. Why did you select this topic? Why is this important to oral language development? So let's say, for instance, you chose the importance of reading books to children at an early age. Well, then your rationale would be that there is much research that supports that reading to children at an early age fosters oral language development. You would then have to include a description of the topic, highlights its importance in the process of oral language development. Now comes your review of the literature. You're going to use 5 references, not including your textbook, that will support your points. You're then going to include a conclusion where you address the implications for classroom practice and how this might reflect on your own practice as it relates to your topic. So what I decided to do to help you out was to think about, well, what would I do if I was approaching this assignment? How would I handle this? So I've given you a number of resources that should get you thinking and get you started. This will be helpful if you haven't yet chosen your topic. If you've chosen your topic, I might not have coincided with exactly what you have chosen, but I tried to cover a wide range. So let's take a look. The first thing I did is provide you with some websites, how reading books fosters language development around the world. And on this website, you will see, this is from Child Development Research, and it was published in a journal. And they actually talk about literacy development and how oral language is related to literacy development, and they talk about several studies. So this could be one of your sources if this is something that's interesting to you. You could then, from this, get additional sources. As you can see, there's a long list here, or you could look for additional sources on this topic by simply Googling on your own. So you can see that they also give you lots of information, which is good, how to cite this article, references, the abstract, the full text, and so on. Oops. The next site that I gave you was language development in children. Let's see if I can get to the right site. Here we go. And this one is from education.com. And this deals with the development of oral language and how we can best help children to develop oral language, what we can do to help them. And perhaps you might look at the components of oral language and see if that's something that would work for your research. The next site is the role of early oral language in literacy development. Let me open that up. I'm not sure if I had that opened. Yeah, I guess I did. So we'll close one and we'll go to the other. And this one talks about the connection between early oral language and later reading comprehension. So that in itself is a study. Can early language lead to better comprehension? And there have been several studies on that. There's lots of information, lots of references. So if that's something that's interesting to you, this might be a starting point. Then what I've included were several PDF files. The first one is oral language and vocabulary development. Now, some of these are presentations, and you can see that this one was first done in 2008 at the Reading First conference. Now, while it may sound old, it's done quite well. And this is really a series of slides, so there are 74 of them, but it's not as long as it might seem, with the session objectives, and then the actual presentation, and lots of good information. So if the processing systems are interesting to you, if listening is interesting to you, you can perhaps get some good ideas. The next one is learning to talk and listen. And again, this is an oral language resource for early childhood caregivers. And this was developed by the National Institute for Literacy. And again, you would get some very good ideas as to what can we do in the preschool years, understand the importance of these, how this develops, how important language and talking is to develop oral language, turn taking, one-on-ones. And you can see there's storytelling, lots of good things, the importance of play, the importance of modeling, of extended conversations. So these are things that you might want to focus on. Next, we have learning to talk and listen. I'm sorry, that's the one we just did. That's the one for early childhood. I apologize. Next, we have oral language in early childhood and the primary years. And this goes up to 8 years, and we're really dealing with up to 5 years, but there's still some good information here. So I wanted to share it with you. And it's current, published in 2012. It is an excellent resource, as you can see. Links between oral language, reading, and writing. So you might go to that chapter. There's a lot here. It's long, so you want to go to the portion that is good for you.